Welcome to Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed, where wellness gets a fun twist. I'm Gordy Jenkins, a natural foods entrepreneur, and with me is Dr. Zed DeBout, our resident trained Stanford MD. We are former college swim teammates turned best friends, and now your guide to this crazy world of health trends and fitness hacks with a focus on getting the science right. Get ready for a wild ride. This is Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed. Today, Zed and I discuss training periodization. We explore how to bust through plateaus and avoid overtraining. And then we shine the science spotlight on a man who challenged our understanding of circadian rhythms by living in a cave for months with no timekeeping devices. And as always, Zed, we wrap up with the fast fire questions. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Kind of a new thing in my life. I'm living my life through, or looking at the world through rose-tinted glasses, and specifically blue light blocking glasses. Kind of a game changer.
Yeah?
Do you want to learn more?
Not really. And that's our episode, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Would you be wearing them right now if we weren't? So for people that don't know, we're getting into the video medium. You'll be able to eventually watch our show. Not quite yet.
God forbid.
But would you be wearing your blue light glasses right now if I couldn't see you?
I suppose I could, but I'm mostly like wearing them in the evening to like wind down. But one thing I've noticed is, you know how they say when you look at the world through rose tinted glasses, like all the red flags just look like flags.
I didn't know they said that. But
no,
it makes sense.
That's definitely an expression.
Okay. All right. Maybe in Oregon.
This is going to be less impactful to you, but they couldn't be more wrong, because when you look at the world through rose tinted glasses, all flags look like red flags. It's all like rose tinted. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense really as a saying. But so yeah, keep these glasses away from bowls, I guess, because they'll just be seeing red everywhere.
Are you super paranoid these days, just having red flags all around you?
That's kind of like the first thing I realized is just people are going to be seeing red everywhere. Bowls are going to be charging. There should be like,
it's real.
Yeah, like imagine like the fluttering cloth and china shop, like having to put up signs like no bowls with light blocking glasses.
And you're like, oh,
Michael,
why there?
Michael Jordan just like, oh, this is bullshit.
I saw a picture of you wearing your glasses, and I saw you had two pairs though, and you had your dog wearing the other pair. Is your dog seeing benefits? 2 pair. I need 2 pair. Is your dog seeing the benefits? Better sleep?
His sleep hasn't improved, but he is a lot more optimistic and positive, kind of.
Good. So it's more the metaphorical rose tintedness is helping him more than the actual physical.
Exactly. But I do watch the Olympics through it. So we'll watch the Olympics at night, and I throw on my blue light glasses, and I'm ready to go. It's been so nice having the Olympics every night, and especially living on the West Coast, it's nice to have a primetime event that's actually like tailored to start at the right time. It starts at like 8:00 out here Pacific, which is nice. So something to do in the evenings, and I'm going to be sad when they're all wrapped up. I know, it's such a nice thing to look forward to. I recently caught the like blurb about the Olympic triathlon, like the river conditions. A couple of the swimmers had to just got like really sick and had to just like cut it. Well, not swimmers, they do the whole triathlon. But yeah, it sounds like the Seine is still a little icky, a little pee-pee le poo, as the French say.
For sure, a lot of pee-pee le poo, all up in their mouths and in their eyes.
Ugh. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, hey, there is, I don't really want to go swimming in the Seine. Watching all of these athletic events and the swimming, it all made me want to get back in the pool, especially after not being able to do stuff for years with shoulder injuries and now having just come off shoulder surgery. I really want to get back in the pool, but I also know that it's going to be super freaking crowded right now, because if you remember going to pools during Olympic summers or Olympic weeks, everybody's at the pool. Everybody and their wife have seen those abs on TV, and everyone's like, all right, I'm going to start swimming now, and I'm going to look like Michael Phelps and Caleb Dressel in a month or something like that. And so it's very crowded. It's a very crowded place to be right now.
Yeah, that swimmer bod, very high demand. And yeah, you don't worry about it getting a little too crowded, because you can get some Seine conditions in the neighborhood pool as well, especially if you get enough kids in there.
Do you remember when Michael Phelps was asked in like 2008 or 2012 at the Olympics, and someone was like, hey, everyone really wants a swimmer's bod. Like, how do you get a swimmer's bod? Do you remember that?
I don't.
And he was just like, "You swim, like there's no like I'm gonna freaking get some lifting. There's no pro. You just got to swim for like 4 hours every day for 15 years. Yeah,
easy, easy peasy,
easy."
No, it's true though. Like, there's not like you can't just do delt raises. I mean, that I'm sure will help your shoulders, but no, the swimmer bod is literally from swimming. And it's like any kind of like long distance runner bod, or you just got to do the thing.
And so, and training every day for years is kind of the subject of today, or rather, how to approach years of training and break down periods of training, and thus training periodization is our topic. So, Zed, would you like to kick things off?
I would love to, Gordy. I thought you'd never ask. Hey, Gordy, do you ever wonder about periodized training?
I do.
So a lot of this like training stuff and fitness stuff, they don't really teach you anything about exercise in med school. Like you'll get a couple lectures where they're like, yeah, there's these meds and there's these things, etc. And yes, diet and exercise seem to help, but that's about it. It's just a reference. And so usually doctors are just like, yeah, let me refer you to PTs or physical therapy. So all of this stuff is like new to me. I mean, at least they don't teach you it in medical school. It's all like learning kind of we do on the outside.
That's interesting.
But yeah, so it's probably not a good thing, but also like I don't know where else you'd fit in all kind of the exercise physiology in your medical training.
Do you know what? This is just straight up the topic. Do you know if DOs and MDs would have any difference of that, or would you have to?
I believe they do. I'd have to look that up a little bit, but I know DOs get a little bit more of like the MSK, like manipulations, that kind of thing. But yeah, we'll have to have I have a buddy who's a DO, and we could learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm very interested. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. But,
no, you're good. So anyways, periodized training is basically exercise planning. So it involves alternating periods of, I mean, there's different ways to do it, but the highest level is it alternates like periods of more intense training with less intense training and more like pronounced recovery. So intensity and recovery. So it really just this is all built to help athletes optimize their performance and to avoid both those like plateaus that can happen as well as overtraining. So for example, we're all watching the Olympics at the Olympic level. The periodized training is really crucial for them to like peak at exactly the right time. And it obviously looks different across different sports and different like athletes. But yeah, so for example, like the now famous like gymnast pommel horse guy, Steven Narodishik.
The dark glasses.
He's such a like the Clark Kent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so no, he was so cool to watch, and it's just fun seeing. But like he's obviously super focused and specific to pommel horse, so his periodized training is going to look a lot different than like Simone Biles or an entirely different sport. But yeah, he was so like cute, like I don't know, this Clark Kent from like Worcester,
get on the pommel horse.
I was on the
British are coming. He warned everyone about the British coming. He got on his pommel horse and he did his midnight ride and he warned everyone. Is that right? I might be conflating two things.
No, that's Steven Narodishik.
Okay.
But no, just laughing, thinking about he's like our universe's version of Superman. Like his superpower just like being really good at the pommel horse. He like,
it's like, I wish it was a little more pro humanity, but
yeah, but still cool. He's like still cool. Meeting up with all the other Supermen from like the multiverse, and they're like, "Oh, what's your thing?" And he's just like, "I'm the pommel horse guy." And, yeah, they're like, nice.
And everyone else is Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And it's been so fun, man. Those gymnasts are awesome. They're awesome.
Yeah. No, and hopefully they don't bully him or like call him Clark like Kent or something. I just see them being a little bit mean.
But Clark can.
But
that could be mean.
Clark can. And no, they'd honestly, the other Supermen would like get on the pommel horse and be like, let me see if this is even that hard. And they'd do it and be like, wow, you're right. They'd have a fault and be like, you got it, Steven.
That's actually true. Did that actually happen?
Yeah. But anyway, so for individuals pursuing fitness at any level, so you don't have to be an Olympic athlete for these principles of periodized training to be relevant and things that you can include in your own setup.
Well, that's great, Zeddy, my boy. But how about this? I think I mentioned to you before that I'm a big fan of using TSS, training stress scores, to monitor my periodization training. So like I said, TSS, training stress scores, it's very hard for me to say, training stress scores. And so it's a specific formula that you use your duration, the intensity of your workout, and it comes out with this number where 100, a TSS of 100 would mean you exercise for 1 hour at your FTP, your functional threshold power. Higher values mean tougher workouts. Basically, to use TSS, you'll need an FTP, that functional threshold power, to set a baseline, establish your fitness baseline. And for runners, there's tests. Cyclers, there's tests. You can look them up. They're brutal though. So like for cycling, there's a 20 minutes, and you just kind of do this intense build as high as sustainable pace or cadence and output as you can. It's brutal, and I always end up gagging and just worrying that I'm going to die like on the Peloton bike. That's not the way to go. You don't want to be dying listening to Shakira being smiled at by like some fitness model, and that's just not the way to do it. And so it is brutal and it sucks, but it's good to do.
There are worse ways to go though. That doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It seems a little too realistic for me to joke about. I'll joke about one of your concerns.
I'm not wishing for it, but I just think you'd be like happier than you think you would be.
I'll be like, oh, I love this song. All right, good.
Shakira.
Tonight. So next, though, is once you have your TSS score, you can, or your FTP score, you should update it like every 4 to 8 weeks, kind of like what we're talking about, just so you know where you're at, so you can adjust your workouts. So you can either up the intensity, lower the intensity, up the duration, lower the intensity, all these different kind of combinations to get out of it what you're looking for. So just real quickly, there's a few different phases. Like the base phase comes first, and that's where you're building aerobic capacity. So that's lower intensity and longer workouts. Then you'll go to the build phase, and the build phase, and each one of these can be like 4 weeks. So like 4 weeks of base and 4 weeks of a build phase. In the build phase, you're going to be incorporating higher intensity workouts and start really working on aspects like speed and power. That's when, we did a lot of that in swimming. I think for a lot of our main season, we're in that build. The peak phase is where you fine tune your performance and you get real like race specific workouts. So like in swimming, we would start doing our sprints, our walls, turns, breakouts, builds, things like that. Just like emulate what the race conditions for sprinters like you and me, like what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be getting our bodies ready to go. For the last phase, which is the best phase, the most fun phase, the taper phase. And that's when you reduce your training volume and intensity so you can recover for your competition. Zed, we remember we tapered a lot. It was awesome.
Yeah, the way I always remembered taper was good is I thought of like the little Amazon animal that just looks kind of like very chill, just kind of like wallowing in the river and chilling. And so, yeah, what was the expression? Don't stand if you can sit. Don't sit if you can lie down. But yeah, that was taper. I feel like I'm saying a lot of expressions that I'm not familiar with today.
I think it's like if you have rose tinted glasses, that the tapir will appear red, and if not, you'll be married in 5 days or something. I don't remember what the old adage was.
No. Well, it seems like you do.
Maybe. But what's cool about TSS is it can really help you identify when you're going too hard or when you can maybe pick up the intensity. There's a lot of tools available. I use my Garmin for this, and M-Paceline is a app that works with Peloton and integrates all those workouts and like gleans their data and spits out your training scores. So that's super cool. And you just kind of adjust your training based off how your body's feeling, and so you avoid those things like overtraining, and you can really focus on your performance. And it really is a good reminder for me to recover, chill, and keep my eye on the prize, the long-term goal. So, Zed, by using TSS scores to plan your training periodization, you can systematically increase your training load, optimize recovery, and peak at the right time of year for your goal.
Yes, coach.
Thank you, son. Sorry. But all right. Well, hey, let's take this opportunity to hear from our sponsors today. Introducing Sen Quencher, the official sports drink of the 2024 Olympics. Crafted from the finest waters of the Seine, packed with electrolytes and a dash of E. coli for that authentic Parisian experience. Perfect for athletes who want to push the limits of their immune system. Sen Quencher, because nothing says peak performance like evading a bacterial infection.
Gordy, what if I told you periodized training isn't too different from our education system? So,
Explain.
so to zoom out a little bit, the like high level tenets of periodized training, it involves breaking that training into specific periods or cycles. So, and each of those would have like a distinct goal or focus. So, typically, the three levels are these macro cycles, the longer term periods. Then you have the mesocycles, medium term periods, and then the microcycles. So, those smaller periods. And each of those have like a very specific goal, and they'll also be matched with different intensities. So, sort of like that periodized training, if you like think about our school system, we have these macro cycles of like elementary school, middle school, what's one more? High school. And then like mesocycles you can think of as like school years, so senior year. And then microcycles are like your quarters or your semesters. So as you can harken back to your school days, you can remember that you had different classes for those quarters with like different goals for those classes. But over time for like middle school and like college, etc., you had different intensities with the ultimate goal of like taking, I don't know, I guess for medicine, the Olympics would be like, for becoming a doctor, your Olympics would be like taking the MCAT or like your board exams in residency. So still pretty glamorous. But
I think when I think of microcycles in school, I think of in elementary school, they had those Guinness Book of World Record books, those like shiny, like, you know, those big hardcover, like Guinness World Record Millennium 2000.
Yeah.
And like I could microcycle, I could swear there's a pic of like a morbidly obese man on a very, very small bicycle or something like that. And that's what microcycle reminds me of. So
I think that's helpful. Really, because he was in his microcycle of his training period.
No, because he was riding a really small bike and he was so big that the contrast was hilarious.
No, well, that's the way I'll remember it from now on.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so in like sports or the Olympics, you can ultimately like train for your whole life, I suppose. But if you don't peak at the right time or like break through the plateaus, that little journey we call life can change pretty fast. So, I mean, I guess like we've seen instances where athletes have just like missed the podium, like for the bronze by like hundredths of a second or 1 point. And I was trying to think like the corollary for school. I guess like in med school, if you don't achieve certain exam cutoffs, like when you're taking the board exams for residency, then you aren't competitive for that specialty. So like, you can imagine if you dreamed your whole life of being an orthopedic surgeon and then you don't do well on your board exam and you're like, well, like I really wanted to do like sports medicine, but I guess that ear, nose, and throat are also like pretty cool. Or
God forbid,
I guess I'll just be a totally different kind of doctor.
Or if a doctor is like, I'm just going to make a podcast now.
I think that's like the pinnacle. You have to actually test out of a lot of stuff in med school to get to podcasting.
They're like, oh, you made it to the podcast group. Come on over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Get this guy out of his white coat into these headphones.
Get this guy a ring light immediately. Well, Zed, you can't talk about training periodization without mentioning overtraining. Zed, you know I've been complaining to you about overtraining. I'm a bad rester. You know that. I like to go. You had to remind me a second ago to stay still because I was moving away from the mic too much. So I apologize, everyone. But this wanting to go all the time, it always catches up to me, and I couldn't figure out why I felt so shitty. Zed, my diet's been good for months. I quit nicotine, haven't drank for months. Alcohol, drinking water, stuff like that.
Sounds like you had a lot of issues.
Yeah, it's just all horrible things. No, just trying to do like little things, right? Just to like, because my heel in my shoulder, I was like, all right, read nicotine inhibits healing. So I'm like, all right, done with that. Alcohol, I just knew was bad for me. And it's like, all right, that's easy to go to. But yeah, so I'm thinking like, all right, I'm super healthy. Now I can work out every day, but I think not drinking is now leading to my overtraining, because I think when I would drink once a week, I would kind of feel a little like less motivated the next morning, and I would kind of give myself an off day. It would be like a built-in off day. And now I don't think I have that like natural built-in off day. So like I just, my muscles haven't been able to recover all the little tears and stuff. And I've just been fatigued and feeling these overtraining symptoms, which are a little bit distressing.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me like, you didn't used to have like insomnia, but you're having regular insomnia and stuff.
Totally. It was super weird. And I was injured, surgery, and then I probably got back up to my old running too quickly, and I was just too excited, and I was running too much, and just all of that. But like, yeah, man, like I felt irritable, like moody. I couldn't focus, like little brain fog. Wasn't like stoked about my workouts, which I usually really love. Couldn't sleep. I would wake up in the middle of the night, or after I'd fallen asleep. I'd fall asleep fine, but then wake up for like 3 hours. My legs would just like ache with this like restless, like feel like worms underneath my skin, and just like it was fucked up, man. I'm never training again. There's demons coming out of the walls. My eyes started bleeding. My hands started bleeding spontaneously. My wife caught on fire. It was insane, Zed. I could not sleep.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that's why you don't want to overtrain, folks, because all of that will happen to you, and it just doesn't feel good. The next day, you're got an increased heart rate. You're just feeling all weird, and it takes forever. It can take months to undo overtraining sometimes. So like it's really good to try to get on it early and listen to yourself before it comes to a point that you're like taking weeks or months just to get back to where you were because you went too hard and your body's out of balance. Yeah, Zed, I really wanted to share that with you.
No, this is such a good point because it's so easy, especially if you're go Gordy, or you don't even have to be named Gordy. You could be anyone that just likes to go. It's so easy to overtrain. Joe. One of those two. Everyone else should be fine.
Those are the two.
Oh shit! Charlie horse mid-recording.
No way! What are you doing? Where? I was like, your leg?
Maneuvered by. I'm sitting on this like high chair. Well, it's an adult chair.
A high chair?
It's high up. It's high up.
Are you wearing a diaper right now?
And I was fidgeting with my legs, like curling it back behind the chair, and just got the worst. I've been overtraining. But yeah, I was just gonna say. It's so important. It's so easy to overtrain when you are in that habit. You think you just need to like push through, or you feel a little bit tired and like, oh, I'll just like switch up the muscle group. But that stuff really does stack, and then you get like Charlie horses while you're podcasting.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty dramatic. I didn't know what happened to you. I thought you like, I don't know. It's like, you need something, buddy?
Help. On the floor.
That hell reminds me of when I got sleep paralysis on the plane where I was holding someone's hand. I can't. That's so tangential, but I'll save that one.
Yeah, no, I love that story. Well, good. Well, Gordy, with all this talk of worms, it would be foolish not to talk about this fact. Undulating periodization can be beneficial for non-competitive athletes. So you may be saying like a lot of this stuff, yeah, I get the like general gist, but like how relevant is it to me? Or I'm not training for a specific event. Like maybe you're not a triathlete, or like you're not doing a Tough Mudder or whatever. But so even if you don't have a specific competition-based goals, undulating periodization, I feel like this is the first 2 times I've said undulating maybe ever in my life. But yeah, so that can be a great way to sort of vary exercises and intensities throughout the week, so you can train multiple aspects of your fitness simultaneously. So the way you can sort of think about this is, say if you're doing like hypertrophy training or something, maybe you do 4 days total for the week, and the first 2, so you'll do maybe 2 days that you're focusing more on strength endurance, and then the second 2 you'll focus more on max contraction, and so you'll vary the like number of sets and reps across those 2 days, and then you'll also vary the type of exercises across those 2 days.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's undulating periodization is kind of what I usually fall into, so that resonates.
Not just for snakes anymore, but like this, the concept here just like falls back to something you'll see again and again in biology in terms of varying the stress on the system, not to the point where you're overtraining, but where you're forcing your body to adapt to these new stressors. So you get what they call like hormesis, or these stresses that build you up but don't break you down.
Just like you and me, right? We just build each other up, don't break each other down.
Exactly.
Never. Hey, Zed, but here's the kicker. We've discussed linear periodization a little bit, which is when you're gradually increasing your intensity over time while decreasing volume over a training cycle. And that's good. And that's great for beginners and really for anyone. But what I thought was interesting was this concept of reverse periodization. And that is actually really good for endurance athletes and things like that, because it starts with high intensity, low volume workouts, and it builds the power and the speed early on. But so then you can take a lot of that. Are you all right, man?
Well, I was trying to burp away from the microphone.
Or he's like, what? Just bouncing back and forth.
Well, why you just stop? Why you start talking? Stop watching.
You're moving so much. I'm the moving one. No,
didn't mean to tear you down.
No, but you didn't tear me down, brother. You didn't tear me down. No, but this reverse periodization. So yeah, high intensity, low volume workouts to start, and then you build that speed and power early on. And then as it progresses, you shift to this lower or longer, but lower intensity workouts, but while maintaining those speed gains that you had early on. And so this type of approach, this reverse periodization, helps avoid early burnout, from like prolonged high volume training and things like that. And so it really enhances the race specific fitness goals that you're looking for, optimizing both power and endurance right at the right time.
Yeah, I actually hadn't heard of reverse periodization before, but totally makes sense with like if you have different goals, especially for like the. I used to hate all the endurance stuff. Like I was the worst at like all the endurance practices in swim practice, but yeah, I was always in the slowest lane. That's why it was nice in the later phases of our training periodization, closer to taper, where we could just do the sprint practices and the long distance.
Exactly.
Just kind of look down on those.
Yeah, like have fun, distance kids. Yeah, have fun, fun swimming.
Yeah, hope you enjoy swimming.
Have fun exercising.
Yeah, enjoy your swimmer bodies.
Yeah. Ugh. All right, Zed. Before we wrap this up, though, what are the GTH Big 3 bangers?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, here are the GTH 3 bangers of periodized training. So 1, plan. 2, progress. 3, prosper. So for plan, this is just zooming back out to the structure. So planning in cycles, your macrocycles, your mesocycles, and then your Guinness World Record microcycles. And so, for example, for most of us, the macrocycles are going to be like 3 to 6 months, and then divide those into smaller mesocycles, 4 to 6 weeks. And then the microcycle can be either weekly or bi-weekly workouts. So with your more specific goals and exercises. So that's plan.
Cool.
Sorry, did you have something to add?
No, I have nothing to add. That's 1 plan there. I added that. How about that for you?
All right, 2, progress. So here's where you want to gradually, this is the theme of gradually increasing the intensity of the workouts, unless you're doing like Gordy talked about reverse periodization, where you would gradually decrease the intensity. But anyways, you're progressing whatever it is based on your goals. So this can be adding weights like sets, repetitions, mileage. And this is all, again, to avoid those plateaus and promote that continuous progress. So example, like in the swimming pool, like we would progress like our sprinting, we would attach like those little bungee cords and kind of work against those and do more intense like sprint practices. But yeah, I'm trying to think of another way.
Those were fun. Those bungee cords were nice. Those would make it a little bit more intense. I liked anything that would just like change up the monotony of it just being a pool and a black line you're staring at the bottom. So like anything that you do to mix it up would be pretty fun.
Yeah, like maybe some like sea creatures, like kind of like a shark that kind of keep you on your toes a little bit.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a little too aggressive. Maybe like something that's like creepy. Maybe just like a sick possum or something that like can't get out of the pool. So it's just like it's just kind of like gross, and it's gonna like swim near you, and it's gonna be hairy and wet, and it's gonna be clawing. But it's not like really like a danger to you. But you're just like, I don't know. I think a shark would just like, I would just get out. But like the possum, coach could call me a wimp and I could like see myself staying in there with it.
Yeah, I think dead possums in the water are some of the issues with like the Seine right now. But yeah,
our pool was like the Seine.
It was. All right, so we got 1 plan, 2 progress, and then 3 prosper. So this is going back to kind of what Gordy was talking about in terms of avoiding overtraining. So you really want to include rest days and recovery weeks even to avoid that overtraining stimulus and allow your body to adapt to all these training stimuli that you're putting upon it. So yeah, I remember so like rest, like during taper. So taper is basically where we're all taking it super easy and trying to reduce impact on our bodies to be in prime condition for like our big meets at the end of the year. And I remember like doing the floating thing. Remember at the end of practice where everyone's like has their little floats and basically the eyes are closed and like coach turns down the lights inside the pool. And I remember him being like pissed for some reason at one of our teammates and like chucking a whole buoy like at his head.
While we're all trying to like meditate, essentially.
Yeah. But
I can never meditate to this day. Don't trust anyone.
Worried about a pool float to the dome.
Yeah. It's happened. It might have been me that got hit. Who knows?
But so those are the three: plan, progress, prosper. And you might be saying, I'm not Simone Biles, more like Bamone Miles. How do I get started? Good.
That is like, no, he's good. I've nothing to say there. Bamone Miles, that works.
or Noah Lyles are more like Les Miles or something, or No Miles. Could that be?
That's name? Good. That's good.
Yeah. All right,
but he's good. I don't know why you're talking shit on him.
Well, no, because the average person, we're not them. This
that's us. Oh, sorry. I thought we were trying to give him a new nickname.
Okay. No.
I thought we were playing. It's time for us to give nicknames to Olympic athletes.
My nickname is No Miles.
Okay.
Because I hate miles.
You got that.
But anyway, so you're saying like, I'm not an Olympic athlete. How do I even get started? So of course, my instinct is to refer you to physical therapy. But there are like good personal trainers and physical therapists out there that can like get you started. And even if that's not something you have access to or can't afford, I will say like AI at this point can give you a really decent starting point. You can plug in a prompt like, let's say, like my friend whose name I won't mention has very weak shoulders, but he's like really flexible. He needs to be able to be ready to perform a full routine on the balance beam at the end of the year. Please provide a periodized training regimen. So he's ready to beam with confidence by like New Year's. So that's just something you could use.
Beam with confidence.
So you'll get actually a really specific, nice kind of macrocycle, mesocycle, and microcycle breakdown. And so a couple of things that I want to pull out for this friend that he could think about if this is what he wanted to do. So obviously, first 3 months, he'd really want to increase lean, muscle mass, and strength to weight ratio.
Hey, are you talking to me, man? I feel like you're speaking directly to me.
Months 4 to 6, increase maximum and relative strength. So more beam work, including acrobatic elements and dynamic movements.
Jim Beam with it. Yep.
Well, yeah, that probably is what you think beam work is. That's why you'll never go to the Olympics in the balance beam.
At gymnastics. You'll see.
But anyway, so those are just places you can start if you want to build out your own training periodization plan.
Very cool. Well, very cool, Zed. But now, I was a little inspired by our discussion of, timing today. And also last week in the Olympic episode, we talked a little bit about circadian rhythms and how to align that. So this week I wanted to bring in today's Science Spotlight.
The Science Spotlight. Yeah, science.
To shine a light where there is none. Zed, I'm going to tell you about a man who ventured into the dark depths of the earth to unlock the secrets of our internal clocks. His name is Michel Siffre, and his experiments on human circadian rhythms are nothing short of astonishing. That would have made a lot more sense when I was calling this Astonishing Human Feats. All right. Let's travel back to 1962. Oh, hi, Dad. You're a baby. Oh, hi, Mom. You're a fetus. Michel Siffre, a French underground explorer and scientist, had a bold idea. He wanted to understand how the human body perceives and regulates time without any external cues. To do this, he decided to isolate himself in the dark, damp Scarasson cave in the French Alps, with no clocks, no sunlight, and no way to keep track of time. He planned to stay there for 2 months, living purely by his own internal clock. In the cave, Siffre maintained a strict routine. He slept, ate, and worked whenever he felt like. That doesn't sound that strict, actually. That sounds just like he's doing whatever he wants. He slept, ate, and worked whenever he felt like it, without any external time cues. He communicated with his team on the surface via telephone, reporting his sleep and wake times and his mental and physical state, but they were sworn not to reveal any information about the time or like any time of day. So I was imagining he was probably calling them at like awful times of the day. They're just like, "What's up?" I've been up.
Yeah, I'm the guy just like declining his calls. Like, oh, it's fucking Michelle again.
Yeah. Oh God, it's so late.
Yeah. Yeah. No. There's like nothing to talk about. Oh, how's it going down there, Michelle? It's still dark.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Sifra actually described his conditions. He said, "Oh, I had bad equipment and just a small camp with a lot of things cramped inside. My feet were always wet, and my body temperature got as low as 93 degrees Fahrenheit. My pastimes were reading, writing, and doing research in the cave." Doing research? What do you think he was doing? Just like shitting around with throwing a rock at the wall?
Yeah. Hello.
He's like, done. So he also said, I also spend a lot of time thinking about my future. Also, there were 2 tests I performed every time I called the surface. First, I took my pulse. So they're like, what's your pulse? They're like, 90. He's like, all right, you're good, man. You're good for a few more weeks. Secondly, there was a psychological test. So he said, I had to count from 1 to 120 at the rate of 1 digit per second. And then with that test, we made a great discovery. Zut alors. It took me 5 minutes to count to 120. In other words, I psychologically experienced 5 real minutes as though they were 2. End quote.
So time basically really slowed down for him.
Yeah, he was having fun.
Just like, again, the guy on the surface, like Michelle calling you, like, oh, yeah. Actually, it's the future up here. What have you been doing? Like living under a rock?
Seriously. They answer the phone and they're like, oh no, he's going to do the counting thing. And it takes like 45 minutes later, he's like counting at 120. The guy's like, yeah, buddy, you nailed it. All right. Talk to you tomorrow.
We got iPhones up here now. You've been down there for like years.
For a long time. So Zed, his body naturally adopted a sleep-wake cycle that was slightly longer than 24 hours, around 24 and a half hours to 25 hours. But guess what, Zed? It wasn't all just chilling in paradise for this guy. In case you, for some reason, thought it was. Sifra experienced mood swings and changes in his perception and time so that days felt like weeks, and his mental state began to deteriorate. He said, there was a very long perturbation. I bet he was perturbating a lot down there. Perturbation in my sense of time. In my sense of time. I descended into the cave on July 16th and was planning to finish the experiment on September 14th. When my service team notified me that the day had finally arrived, I thought that it was only August 20th. I believed I still had another month to spend in the cave. My psychological time had been compressed by a factor of 2.
Dang.
End quote.
That sucks.
But he does it again. Fast forward to 1972. Sifra decides to take it up a notch. This time he chose the Midnight Cave in Texas, USA, and planned to stay for 6 months. And once again, he lived without natural light or any timekeeping devices. And his internal clock continued to run on a cycle slightly longer than 24 hours, but this time the psychological effects were super severe, and he was getting really depressed and hallucinating and having memory lapses, and his perception of time became so distorted with the days blending into each other that Sifra said with a laugh, I believe that when you are surrounded by night, the cave was completely dark with just a light bulb. Your memory does not capture the time. You forget. After 1 or 2 days, you don't remember what you have done a day or two before. The only things that change are when you wake up and when you go to bed. Besides that, it's entirely black. It's like one long day. Because why not laugh at that?
Get this guy some light blocking glasses. Let's rose it up.
Yeah.
But honestly, kind of wild that the body still stayed on a mostly like 24-hour clock. That's fascinating.
There's also got to be, I mean, like, he's such an odd guy. Whoever would subject themselves to this feels like there's almost, like, he's not a reliable sample because he's so different just by that he likes it. Like, it's weird.
First darkness retreat, it's like, okay. Second darkness retreat, it's like, okay, this guy's really trying to get away from something. This guy hates his family. I give you some peace and quiet in a cave.
All these learnings, though. Yeah, no, just give you a second. We're away from the wife and kids for another 6 months down there. But these learnings have been applied by NASA to astronauts in space and other people who have reported weird symptoms when not adhering to the natural circadian rhythm dictated by the sun. So like as for his sleep, which I'd imagine would be his best activity or most fun activity down there, he said, my sleep was perfect. My body chose by itself when to sleep and when to eat. That's very important. We showed that my sleep-wake cycle was not 24 hours like people have on the surface on the Earth, but slightly longer, about 24 hours and 30 minutes. But the important thing is that we proved that there was an internal clock independent of the natural terrestrial day-night cycle. Interestingly, during the subsequent experiments I did with other research subjects, he brought other people down with him, all of the people in the caves showed cycles longer than 24 hours. In fact, and this is crazy, I think, Zed, it became common for them to achieve cycles lasting 48 hours. So they would actually start getting into these patterns where these people would have 36 hours of continuous awake activity, followed by 12 to 14 hours of sleep. I thought that was pretty wild.
That is really wild. And it's almost like proportional. That'd be... yeah, I feel like that'd be a wild cycle to be on. This guy seems like almost the research like Batman if he was French, just like going down the cave, confronting darkness, probably bats.
He is hating clocks though, kind of like Captain Hook element to him.
Yeah, the ultimate.
So when he found out that people could stay awake for 36 hours and then like have a super sleep, the French army started funding him a lot because they were like, all right, you got to make us a bunch of soldiers who can stay awake twice as long and, do twice as many military things.
Twice as much.
Yeah, it's just technical language there, Said. In 1999, though, Cifra didn't have enough. He wanted more. He's in his 60s now. He decides to repeat the experiment in Clamouse Cave, France, to study the effects of aging on circadian rhythms. So this time, because he's in his 60s, thinking about how's age going to affect this. He stayed for 2 months, maintaining the same protocols as before, and his circadian rhythm was still slightly longer than 24 hours, but he found it more challenging than in other times that he's conducted this self-torture / experiment to maintain a consistent schedule. He said he felt way more tired, way less resilient, just kind of highlighting how aging affects our internal clock and our adaptability. But yeah, Zed, Cifra's experiments were groundbreaking in the field of chronobiology. They showed us that our circadian rhythm is longer than 24 hours, that isolation and lack of time cues can have severe psychological and physiological effects, and that aging affects our internal clocks. And so, yeah, like I said, his work has influenced sleep medicine, space travel, and shift work, emphasizing the importance of understanding and managing our circadian rhythms for overall health and well-being. The end.
Man. What a hero. Like, I know we're poking a lot of fun, but it really is the people like that who do some of these anecdotal like self-experimentations that really push the sort of literature or like science like understanding forward, because you can't just run this on someone or put like college students in a cave for a while. But yeah, these guys make these crazy
There's some ethical decisions, so you're going to have some ethical issues there with putting people there. Putting a random sample of people in a cave for a few months in Texas, USA. Oh, Zed, you hearing that? It's time.
I'm getting it.
You know what that music means. It is time for our fast fire questions.
Gordy and Zed's fast fire questions.
And as always, Zed, we start out with our first question. But wait, I've just received word from you, my co-host, that you have a little Olympics-themed version for our first question. Is this correct?
I do. Let's switch things up. I got an Olympic question for you. Let's put you in the hot seat. Are you ready, Gordy?
I think so.
All right, Gordy. Would you rather? Gordy, would you rather try to perform a backflip in front of a live audience as well as a televised crowd on the balance beam or off the high dive platform?
So I'd rather do a backflip, but with a lot of people watching on the balance beam. You really want to see me on a balance beam, it sounds like. Balance beam or the high dive. Is that the choice?
Yeah.
I think I know you're gonna. I think I would nail it in either situation. I actually fully believe I could do a. I think I could do a backflip off of a beam and land on my feet.
No, but you have to land
is that
on
crazy?
the beam.
Oh, no. Well, fuck that. Do I have to land on the diving board too then?
No, you have to land in the water.
Then obviously I'll do that.
Are you watching the Olympics?
I didn't know what the beam was. Oh, I thought when he was like dismounting at the end, like I could just do that.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah, we really got to get on video.
I would definitely do it off the high dive. I would 100% do it off the high dive then. It would suck because I would probably over rotate.
Yeah.
If it's just the 10 meter is very high up. So I'd probably smack. But like I think I could do it. Don't you think? I mean, you can do flips and stuff and like I have trampoline growing up. I can do a lot of flips and stuff on my trampoline.
Yeah, I feel like you can actually get hurt more off the 10 meter. I guess like, I don't know, you can rack yourself on the beam or like slam, but like you're not that high up. But like if you like slam on your back, like off the 10 meter, I don't know, that sounds brutal.
I also think like I was watching, even just watching those little gymnasts like Suni Lee, which sounds like a college in New York. Like their feet are so small compared to the beam that like someone with like gargantuan like gross ass like Sasquatch feet like me would just be like I think it would be almost impossible for me to even unless they have a bigger beam. Do they offer like is it beam proportional for your size? That would be cool.
I have no idea, but no, this is just the standard 4-inch beam.
We should start a tall gymnastics league.
Yeah. Well, I have a periodized training cycle for you.
Oh, good.
If we do.
All right, Zed, it is time for our next question, which is, would it kill me?
Would it kill me?
Zed, would it kill me if I only ate kale for a month? Like just raw kale. This is probably what you do, but like, would it kill me if I ate kale for a month? Just kale and water, no seasonings, nothing, raw kale and water, 1 month.
Yeah, well, you probably the shock from the system eating your first vegetable. I can see it. But no, so I think you'd survive a month. So you'd obviously have nutrition and micronutrient deficiencies and you'd lose a ton of weight. Maybe not a bad thing, whatever your goals are.
Just kidding.
Just super.
This seems toxic.
For you.
Seems a little
building
toxic.
you up. No, but I think you'd survive the month. But no, you'd definitely have micronutrient issues and deficiencies and be hurting a little bit. And then for 3 months in a year, I think you're getting into very dangerous territory.
Okay. Yeah.
But hey,
all right, I'm not gonna
maybe just add some kale to your regular diet and go from there.
Fair enough. Thanks, Mom. Zed, it is now time for the one that I love the best, which I call S the D or Shock the Doc.
Shock the Doc.
Zed, you ready to get shocked? You ready to get shocked, my man?
Shock me. Yeah, I'm ready to get S.
Are you ready to get S? My D? All right. A recent study revealed that octopuses can taste things just by touching them with their arms. So their suckers are equipped with specialized cells that allow them to detect chemicals, essentially letting them taste their environment as they explore it. Yes or no, Zed? Do you want this power?
No way. Dude, shaking hands.
Shaking hands would be so gross.
I mean, like, just licking someone's hand. Yeah.
Oh.
I think I'm good. Yeah, the octopuses can have it.
Fair enough. Quit licking my hand, you horse's ass.
And quit touching the horse's ass, you freak.
Zed, thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for everyone for listening to Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed. Please listen each week on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. New episodes available early Sunday night if you live in Hawaii or Monday morning on the East Coast. Follow us on Spotify. Please give us 5 stars. What should they give us, Zed? How many stars this time? 5?
I'd say upwards of 5 and above. If you like us, if you hate us, think of them as like ninja stars. Throw 5 of those bad boys at us.
Right to our jugular, please. And at Going Through Health Podcast on Instagram, give us a follow. Any questions, email us at gordyandz@gmail.com. We will answer them or at least try. Thank you so much. Thank you, Zed.
Thank you, Gordy.
As long as you're near, I don't mind that wind just looking back over the hill.
Hey, this is Zed. This podcast is intended solely for general informational purposes and does not represent the provision of medical advice or the practice of any professional healthcare services. No clinician-patient relationship is formed. Nice try. And the use of the information provided or materials linked is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not meant to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should seek medical advice for any health issues they may have and should consult their healthcare providers for any such concerns.